Roth. I don't have any agenda.
Here. All right.
I didn't get an agenda either.
Did you print it? You print yours at home? Give me just a second. Yeah.
No, we're good. Yeah.
Okay, well, I think I got it up here then. Nope, I got the January 10th agenda. Okay, well, I'll go from that. Can you make it bigger? All righty. My name's Chris Caius. I'm Chair of the Riverboat Committee, and I am calling this meeting to order on Tuesday, August 20th, 2024 at originally 30, we'll call it 11:45. And we have roll call, please.
Good morning, Mr. Caius. I'll do the roll call now. Caius?
Okay.
Berman?
Yes.
Herman, yes, here.
Ford? Leonard?
Leonard here remotely.
Strathman?
Strathman present.
You have a quorum.
All right, we have a quorum, and Mr. Leonard is requested to attend online as a participant. Is there any objection?
Nope.
And Mr. Ford's not here, right?
Right.
Okay. Then, good morning. Mr. Berger, can you lead us through this with roll call, remote attendance, public comment? I'll just get through this stuff. Public comment, is there any public comment? Item number 4, online, in writing, in person? Nope. On either agenda or non-agenda items? And then may I have a motion, or I would entertain a request to approve the minutes from January 10th, 2024.
Mr. Caius, I would request unanimous approval of the minutes from January 10th,
2024. Thank you. Mr.
Fine.
Rathman does that.
Good.
And is there any objection?
None.
Hearing none, the minutes from January 10th are adopted. And now on to consideration of fiscal year 2025 internal grant requests. And I'm going to ask Mr. Berger's assistance on this. You take steps on that, Mr. Berger. Good morning.
Yes. Yes, if you will turn to the second page of your packet, you'll find a list of departments that have requested funding from the Riverboat Fund for 2025. Combined, the total amount requested is $3.4 million for 2025. This combined with the cash on hand totals just shy of $7.4 million. And we've indicated that based on the amount of funding that we received from the casino in the spring of 2024, this amount is consistent with the funding that you've received. And we've indicated that at the bottom of your screen, you'll see that we've indicated that just over $4 million is available. This is consistent with the amount that's been requested and will allow you to save just shy of $600,000 for future uses. So the amount that has been requested can be afforded by the Riverboat Fund, and we're suggesting that you consider funding all the requests that have been received.
Okay, then that would be items from column H, the total 34 million,
Well, it's 6 million.
3.423263 in new funds. Is that correct?
Correct. That's
Okay.
correct.
Is the committee following along on that? The
No, would
table?
you, which column is? that?
Yes.
Right in the middle of the blue.
Oh, okay, all right, thank you.
Unless you print it out in black and white.
May I make a motion?
I would entertain a motion to accept the request or the suggestion by staff to in Exhibit 8 here.
That would be my motion.
Okay, Mr. Berman's.
Entire $3,423,263.
Okay, and
That's
Madam Strathman seconds. Is there any conversation on that from the committee first?
My conversation would be, I'm surprised we didn't get more requests.
Thank you. That's right. He brought in an extra bag here. I'm going to go with Mr.
Yeah, I
Roth
mean,
first.
committee goes first.
Roth, you have the floor.
At the bottom there, the SMN amount available for funding, the 4,010,325. I'm not seeing that in the worksheet above. So where's that number coming from? Because I see different $4 million amounts.
If you take a look at the last page of the packet, you'll find a draft budget for the Riverboat Fund.
Okay.
And that number is reflected on the last page. It's page 121 of your
Okay.
packet.
All right, let me go there. Excuse me a second.
Oh, I see, okay.
All right. On the last page, I see the 4,070,000. Yeah, I'm not seeing it there either. So where is the 4,010,000?
4,070,000.
Right, I see that. And that's not 4,010,000.
Well, it's just an estimate anyway, so
Okay, and that's fine. I mean, I'll take that as an answer.
it doesn't, not germane.
Okay, never mind then.
It's just an estimate. At least we have, if we've got 4,070,000 on hand, one of the numbers is better than the other, so.
Yeah. I
But they're
understand.
both more than 3,423,000.
Right, yeah. Okay.
So
All right, that's fine. I was just doing the
call for the
math.
question.
Okay. Any other explanation, Mr. Berger?
No, not at this time.
Okay, then, Mr. Hunt, did you have a suggestion or request or?
Just a comment in regards or in response to Mr. Berman's recognition of the fact that we requested maybe less than you had anticipated. One of the reasons why that happened, and the state's attorney has 5 applications before this committee, we took a very aggressive approach to the utilization of existing funds, which minimized our request for this current year. So we are budgeted to use 50% of our forecasted cash fund available, which is obviously not sustainable long-term, but in the short term, that was the approach we took because we knew that the Riverboat funds were under pressure and that the county as a whole was under pressure. So we've been what I think is responsive in our request.
Thank you.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate that.
Yeah,
We know
that-
you'll be back.
There's all of us tomorrow.
We can trust on that, that, right, Terry? Okay, great.
Mr.
Okay.
Chairman, Leonard, could I ask a question?
Mr. Leonard, sure.
Yes, thank you, sir. I totally agree with the requested funds for all of the different items, but I do have 3 questions on 3 of the items. The first one is human resources, tuition reimbursement. They're asking for 50,000. I looked last year and they
Use it.
awarded about 11,000, a little over $11,000. So I'm wondering why they need 50,000 this year. I was thinking maybe 25,000 might be adequate, but once again, that's something that we should discuss. Maybe I've got 3 different departments I'd like to talk about. So maybe if I could just get some clarification on human services first, then I'll go to the other 2.
Is there anybody from Human Services in? Online? Apparently not.
Okay. Anyhow, my suggestion would be maybe we lower that from 50,000 down to 25,000. As I said before, they only spent or allocated about 11,000 last year. So 50,000 seems rather robust at this point.
Berman here.
Mr. Berman?
Well, how do we justify any request? Truthfully, I mean, we're saying they want 50,000. They must have feelings that they need 50,000, even though they only used 11,000 last year. It's a request. I don't know how is that any different than any of the other requests?
I'm going to take that as a hypothetical or a rhetorical question rather than being able to answer that. I would like to suggest that as to the comment of 25 versus 50,000, if they request 50,000 and they don't use it, it goes back into the fund. So there's like no harm, no foul. And we do have the money, so it's not taking it away from anyone in particular at this time. So.
Sure. Well, that's fine. I just wanted to bring it up. It's not a
Okay.
showstopper to me in
And
any
you
way,
can-
shape, or form.
And you can make a motion, we can vote on it if you feel that strong about it.
I really don't. That's
Okay.
not a big concern.
I think
just
that's a
wanted to
valid
bring it.
point, though. That's good to have an explanation that leads into the amount of money that they're requesting.
Right.
And were we really tight on money, I think that would become much more evident. Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Item 2.
Okay. The Department 2 that I'd like to talk about is development, the economic development. They have 50,000 on hand in unobligated funds, yet they don't want to use any of that. And they're asking for $280,375 from the Riverboat, which I understand, but I looked over the application and there were two areas that I would like an explanation on. One is the fund balance enhancement, which was a little over 115,000. And the other one was contractual services at 180,000. I'd like to know what those allocations are for specifically, if I could.
Okay, I see Mr. Van Kerkhoff moving up to the microphone. The floor is yours, sir.
Sure. Good morning. Appreciate the opportunity to hopefully provide adequate answers to your questions. So the Economic Development Fund has been used very effectively over the last 8 years or so to be responsive to opportunities that enhance economic development. We've used it for responding to doing our export grant program, matching funds with IMEC. But probably most significantly in the last several years was able to use that as match money to get $340,000 in state grants for tourism and for Fabulous Fox Water Trail. Well, the specific line items are sort of guesstimates on what actual line item those might fall in terms of contractual services. But we're anticipating that we would be continuing to use that to match for additional grant funds. We, as our team in the development department, has been successful in applying for grants, but now that's even further enhanced by the hiring of our grant administrator, who is actively working on and seeking other grant opportunities. So I guess it's money so we can pivot very quickly and respond to grant opportunities that oftentimes we only have 30 to 45 days to turn in an application and demonstrate that we have match set aside. So I hope that helps. I'm happy to answer any more clarifying questions.
Mr.
Well,
Leonard?
I think that does help. I thank you for that explanation. I guess what I'm wondering, is that related to the fund balance enhancement or the contractual services? Your explanation.
Both of those.
Okay. The reason why I asked this and I brought it up, in looking at the history, I know 4 years ago, you were receiving about 141,000, then it went down to 118, then down to 71,000, then 80,000. Then last year it went up from 80,000 to 284,000. which is approximately what you're asking for this year. So I guess I'm just wondering why the big increase, and basically what you're saying is to be used for matching funds for economic development.
Correct, yeah. So the big jump last year was to provide the match that we needed for the 2 state grants that we received. And some of those do repeat, like the tourism grant. So we'd like to be able to continue to go after those so that we can continue to enhance economic development through tourism, through the Fabulous Fox National Water Trail.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much. And my third and final department that I wanted to talk about was water resources, storm management. You know, I noticed that they're only asking for $4,555, which of course is fine, but I'm just wondering why that amount went down so much. In 23, we gave 69,000, and then last year we did 4.5 thousand also. So I was just wondering if they're adequately funded, and why the drastic decrease from 69 to 4,500.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Leonard. I see Jody Wolnick has stepped up to the microphone. The floor
Yeah,
is yours.
thanks for the question. We were actually, those were the stream gauges that are on the Fox River, the 4 gauges that went through E&E committee last Friday. Those gauges were funded for 3 years through the ARPA program. And so that is a temporary decrease in our request. At the end of 2026, when that ARPA money runs out for 2027, we'll be back here. But it does provide some relief for the Riverboat funds for the 3 years that we're able to use ARPA funding for those projects. I would, in addition to that, also mention that our cost share drainage program, we received $720,000 of ARPA funds that would normally be coming as a Riverboat request here as well. And so you're not seeing those requests either until the 2027 year when those funds run out.
Well, thank you very much for the explanation on that. And I'm in full agreement on the suggested budget for 25 for not only the funds requested from the Riverboat, but the use of cash on hand. So I'm in full agreement on everything, and thank you all for the explanation.
Thanks. Good questions, Mr. Leonard. Actually, on the development committee, I did have a early question, Mr. Van Kerkhoff. The $50,000 unobligated balance is that a cushion that you're carrying to be so that you can be spry and jump in on things at the last minute, but you didn't use it this time? I'm assuming that.
Yeah, I mean, that's an estimate of what might be in our fund balance. Part of the challenge with this year is the 2 state grants that we're operating out of this year. One just ended and one goes to the end of the year. Is that those are some of those funds are being reimbursed. In other words, we had to front the fund money and then we get reimbursed by the state. So we had to kind of make an estimate of how much might be back depending on when the state pays their reimbursement bills.
Okay, thank you. All right. Okay, thanks, Mr. Van Kerkhoff. And thank you, Ms. Wolnick. Any other questions from the committee? Ms. Strathman.
Thank you. Not a question, just a comment. And I think this, I'd like to commend the water department. They are team players. And I think they repeat that. They show us that all the time. So it's good. Thank you. Jody.
Excellent. Yes, thank you. Then, Mr. Berger, do you have any other comments on this?
We do not. We would just ask for your approval to move forward with the recommended funding amounts.
Okay. Well, and I
Mr.
think we have a
Chair-
motion in a second.
Mr. Chairman, this is Alan.
Oh, Ms. Allen.
While there's still discussion going on, I want to commend the state's attorney's office for using their fund balances finally. I wanted to just point out the large ask of $1 million for the Children Advocacy Center and just repeat a comment I've made before. If this is a program that is important to the county, to our residents, to our children, then that really should be something that the state's attorney budgets as part of their regular responsibility. Turning to the riverboat, where you never know how much money is going to come in and be available, is really just kind of being hopeful that the money will be there and not knowing. If the program is important, it should be a part of the regular budget. And let me point out to you that the drug court used to be here with us, making substantial requests in the area of $500,000 a year. And because they were concerned that that money might not be there when they needed it, they went looking for other sources. So they now are funded. We haven't had requests from that part of our organization for several years now, because they went looking for other funding and found it, put it into their programs. And so they are covered. They are not needing this. We have had several projects that would fit in the riverboat. And I would think we would want to be able to entertain those. Remember when there was a big fuss from the neighbors about the solar field at the Judicial Center? They wanted a better quality fence to look at rather than our solar panels. And that was kind of a crisis for building management. Where is that money going to come from? I think it was around $60,000 to $80,000. Where is that money going to come from? We didn't budget for it. Well, that's something that would certainly fit into what the Riverboat Fund is intended for. And we have the Geneva Creek out there. We're still going to be working on that for a couple of years. And isn't that a legitimate request for these funds? And so I think we need to focus our money not on trying to fund programs outside of our purview, but working on the economic development, the environment, and the education that we are asked to do. Thanks for letting me vent.
Thank you, Miss Allen. All good advice for anybody that's applying. So never count on the riverboat. You never know. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, could I make one more comment? This is
Sure,
Leonard.
Mr. Leonard.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to mention too that under the Farmland Preservation Program, they've asked for $750,000, which I totally agree with. But I want everybody to remember that on this committee, we almost get $1 per dollar match on that. So that's $750,000. Won't quite give us 1.5 million, but probably about 1.3 to 1.5 million. So it's really a wise use of the riverboat money, I believe, because we're basically getting $2 for every dollar we allocate. Thank you.
Consistently reminding us, Mr. Leonard. This is a good to remind us on that one. All righty. Well, then, hearing no other questions or discussion, comments, roll call, please.
Yes, Mr. Caius.
Yes, Mr. Berger, roll call vote. We have a motion. and a
Caius,
second.
Caius, yes.
Oh, Mr.
Berman,
Caius. Oh, jeez. Hello?
Mr.
That would
Berman,
be a yes. I'm never the first one to ask. You always ask me last. Caius, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Ford, Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Strathman.
Strathman, yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, the motion passes. Is there any other business that you're aware of, Mr. Berger?
Yes, one more item for you. The very last page of your packet contains a draft budget that we have prepared for your review and consideration. The draft budget provides for a balanced revenue and expense budget of $5.2 million for Fund 120. If you take a look at the center column of figures, you'll find the $5.2 million that I referenced. This is based on the most recent allocation of riverboat funds that the county received, just over $5.1 million, with $100,000 in estimated interest revenue. And then that's balanced with $5.2 million of expenses. We'd like to ask for your approval of this draft budget so that we can submit this to the finance department.
Okay, can we have a motion then? Berman moves, second by
Strathman.
Strathman. Is there any questions from the committee or others? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Berman,
Byrne, yes.
Ford, Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Strathman.
Strathman, yes.
Motion passes.
Motion passes. All right. Then any other business, Mr. Berger?
No other business.
Okay. Then we have a motion from Mr. Berman to adjourn, second by
Strathman?
Strathman. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion is, or the meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Berger. Oh, I shouldn't adjourn it so soon. Thank you to the, your staff for putting this together. This makes it almost a seamless transition. It's great.
Yes,
Thank you very
I'd
much.
like to acknowledge Tracy Glass for his work on this project. Thank you very much, Tracy.